All right. We have finished up day number 5 of our Fresh Start series. This is going to be the recap for both day 5 and day 6. We are currently sitting in day 6 if we want to know where we are in the timeline. Earlier this morning, I had planned on streaming a little bit and then going to my dentist appointment. Things happened, didn't work out. I had my dentist appointment around lunch. It went longer than expected. Did some more things this afternoon, and we're just now getting to the point where we can film this recap. So we're going to play a little bit tonight on stream, but we're barely going to do much. We are going to jump into Hyjal and maybe gain a level or two. So most of the information that I have for this video comes from day 5 and our transition into Cataclysm. Now, last night I cut the stream kind of in the middle of my playing, and I ended up playing more off stream. I streamed for about 9.5, almost 10 hours yesterday. We did all of Cata between yesterday and this morning. I played a little bit offline last night and a little bit offline this morning. Now, we started off with Howling Fjord, which I thought I was going to like much better than Borean. I liked it better than Borean, but not much. I really felt the grind here. I wasn't loving it. I skipped over Grizzly Hills and opted for Zuldrak, thinking I would like that more. I didn't. I got tired of this zone really quickly. After Howling Fjord, I was just trying to find a way out. And I went to Sholazar, and I like the quest lines here better. Just a lot of monster kills, a lot of like, here's 5 quests in this one area, go do them, come back, turn them in, right? Just big groups of quests that I could turn in for huge amounts of gains. And the quests themselves weren't bad. A couple of the quests, I found myself flying back and forth like 9, 6, 7 times. That's an exaggeration. Trying to find monsters to kill. I was competing with like 10 other people, probably another exaggeration. And it was really grinding on my nerves. I hit 78 and I was like, okay, I'm out of here. Peace out. And I committed. I dropped all my quests. I came back to Stormwind. I set my hearth here, fully ready to go into Cataclysm. And then it dawned on me. There are no quests for Cataclysm yet. Because Cataclysm switched the mold. Changed it to so you had to be max level to get into Cata content. I could go into Mount Hyjal, but I couldn't do any of the quests there. So I rolled my eyes, did a little facepalm, and decided that I didn't really want to go back out there and do more quests. So I did a couple more dungeons, realized that I was going too slowly, and I just called it for the night. I got up this morning, and in the little time before my, maybe an hour and a half before my dentist appointment, I just went back out there. I said, screw it. I queued up for Ankahet. I chain spammed this. It's consistent. It's fresh on everybody's mind. It's in the time walking rotation. People aren't bad at it. They know where things are. They get in, they get the job done, and they get out. So I found this to be a nice way of just getting bonus EXP. But we went out to Ice Crown and we started this in the meantime. We did the Argent Vanguard starting area. We pushed into the hill, the Crusader's Pinnacle. We did that quest line. We did a couple of the dailies and we did a couple of the missions off of the airship, but then we hit 80. And again, I dropped my quest and I was out of there. Came back to Stormwind, gathered up our money from our sold auctions, and realized we were sitting about 4,200 gold, just shy, right? So just shy of getting our next level of flying. And I really started weighing the pros and cons to buying that flying now or waiting. And what would I do with my gold if I didn't, right? I want my gold to have a purpose. Once we get into Warlords, money isn't an issue. We're going to be farming thousands and thousands of gold. So I wanted the gold that we earned over the leveling process to in some way help us through our leveling process, whether that was through buying gear or through getting faster flying. Whatever I could think of would be the best benefit to use it, I wanted to use it. So I started thinking about flying and how much help that would actually be. So I started looking at the zones. Twilight Highlands, while it looks like a big zone, it's not that bad. You move from one quest zone to the next, quest area, each hub, and you do quests in that area. We already have flying, so we weren't flying huge distances. It's not like we really need the speed. Deep Home is a circle. Again, we just cut across it. It's no big deal. It's not huge. So I didn't feel like Cataclysm would benefit too heavily from having quicker flying speed. So then I started thinking about Pandaria. Jade Forest is huge, but again, we're going to be going from quest hub to quest hub, traversing the zone over a period of time. It's not like we're flying up and down the coast 12 times in the leveling process. So we know that the minute we hit Warlords, we have to do an achievement to get our flying there. Now, we'll look at this achievement. It's in Exploration. It's in Draenor. So it's Pathfinder, right? Explore Draenor is step 1. We could do that in a day on a ground mount. We just go around, we find all the areas, we explore it. Lore Master is do all the chapter quests. We're going to do all the quests in Draenor. It's just a matter of time. But we could actively farm that. It's just something that we could set our mind on and go do. No big deal. Securing Draenor is a series of kind of, they're objective-based areas where you go in and you kill monsters and you start to fill up a progress bar. But there's also things that you can click on and objective-based items that are in that area that can give you progress as well. So there's, 12, 13 of these. And in earlier Draenor, they would come from a mission table in your garrison, and it was set each day. You got 2. You got to choose between usually a group 1 and a solo 1. And it was random. Some days you'd get the same ones over and over and over again. So getting each one of them sometimes was a pain in the ass. But they introduced the missives into the game from a vendor in your garrison. So you can actually target these. You can pick up a specific one via spending garrison resources and go out and do it. So securing Draenor has gone from a passive farm where we're waiting for a certain thing to come along to an active farm. As long as we have garrison resources, or as long as we have gold we're willing to convert into garrison resources, then we can actively farm securing Draenor. So again, something we can work on constantly. The hiccup happens when we get to Tanan Diplomat, right? So the Saber Stalkers, one of the three reps required for this achievement, can be actively farmed. You go out there, you spend a weekend on it, and you can be done. The rep gains from the rare spawns is huge. The rep per mob itself is big. It's really not a bad grind. Take your guild banners out there. If you're a new player, just fight through it. Be a human. Have a trading post. I mean, there are ways we can increase our rep gains, but it's not a bad grind. Even if you had none of that stuff and you did it like an hour a day, you'd be done in a week. Hand of the Prophet and Order of the Wakened, however, are based off of dailies. Those dailies are available every day. And there are 3 of them. 4 of them? There's a set number of them. There's a set number of dailies for each faction. So doing them warrants you a set amount of rep each day, meaning that this achievement cannot be rushed or hurried in any way, shape, or form. You are literally just doing these dailies every day for 2.5 weeks, roughly, to get this achievement. So flying in Warlords is going to take 2.5 weeks. Regardless of any other achievement required, this one is the one that holds you back. Now, if we were swimming with money and we felt like, I don't know, spending it on this, there are medallions, for people who don't know, medallions of the Legion. So these are selling for about 4,500 a piece, 4,750 a piece. This guy is selling just so many of them. And that's 1,000 rep. Trading post and human, 4,200 rep, or 1,200 rep. Did I do that right? Probably not. It's more, 20% more. But that's hugely expensive when you need 42,000 reputation. You would have to buy gold for this, I would think, if you're a newer player. So, you're just stuck. So, by the time I can get flying in Warlords, all the benefit of having that fast flying is going to be pointless. I will have already made it through all of the quest zones. I will have already gotten exalted with many of the reps in 2 weeks. I will have already achieved most of the things that I wanted that extra flying speed for. So that 4,200 spent now only benefits me through the next 2 expansions. That's not very interesting. So I decided that that wouldn't be the route to go. Now, when we hit Warlords, there are crafted pieces available to us. We take a look at the gun, which I've already purchased. Like I said, we were at 4,200. I've spent some of that. This gun is item level 630 and equipable at level 91, which means one level into leveling into Draenor, we can go ahead and put this on. Now, quest items and BOE blues and things like that at level 91 are only item levels 615, 630, or 515, 530. So we're talking about 100 eye level difference. And we can still upgrade this gun even further, depending on how much money we want to pump into one item. So, because these items can be upgraded and because they're still good at endgame and going into Hellfire Citadel and anything else we're going to do, investing in them now is probably one of the strongest things that we can do. So, it says they're unique equipped Warlords crafted 3. So any new player that hasn't played in Warlords, this means that we can wear 3 crafted pieces. We can't just deck ourselves out in 630 gear. We can only wear 3. Now the weapon obviously is a primary choice because just the pure weapon DPS on this alone is like 250, 300 more than your average weapon at level. And we can continue to upgrade it once we're max level. The alternative to this is we wait until we're max level, we get a Baleful version, and we upgrade it with Valor. That would make it a 705. Now, it's possible that we could get a 705 Baleful before we could get this to 6 of 6 and upgraded 2 of 2. But investing in this means that we don't have to invest in a Baleful weapon, which means that we can invest in other Baleful pieces. Investing in crafted like belt and boots means that we don't have to invest in those Baleful pieces, which means that our eye level will get higher quicker by investing the gold that we have in this gear now. So the other pieces that I'm going to get are probably going to be a belt or a boot, maybe a ring. It's really going to depend on what the auction house has to offer. These items can have their secondary stats re-rolled with other items. Now those items that do the re-rolling are oftentimes expensive, up to 100 gold each. And you really never know how many it's going to take. I've bought 15 and used 1 and gotten the stats that I've wanted. I've bought 5, they've all failed. I've bought 5 more, they've all failed. I've bought 5 more, they've all failed. So you can really chuck a lot of money into it because of the RNG. So in this particular item, I had the choice between paying 200 gold for an item that didn't have the stats that I wanted and having to buy those upgraded pieces, those conversion pieces, or just spending 425 gold and getting the exact stats that I wanted. For me, that was a no-brainer. I would likely spend 200 gold in rerolls to get these stats, if not more. So I went ahead and bought this. I went ahead and bought the augment for it as well, the scope, to add crit to it. No matter what spec I pick, whether I play survival or whether I play marksman, I'm going to want crit and multi-strike, heavier on the crit side for marksman. But we'll talk about that later. And we'll talk about why I would choose belt or boots or ring when we do the recap video when we push into Warlords. And I actually have those items in my bag. I'll talk about endgame Warlords and how it's beneficial to pick your crafted pieces wisely. Obviously you can get helm, cloak, trinket. You can buy anything that you want crafted. But getting specific ones will help you in the later game in terms of gold saved and in terms of time saved. So that's what we're going to invest our money on. And I may dump all of this gold into, I may just get 2 pieces of crafted gear and not care what their stats are, just buy the cheapest thing on there and just, you know, we'll get the 630s, we'll have the high amount of agi, the high amount of stamina, but we won't really care whether or not we have perfect crit multi-strike. And we can re-roll them later when we start to earn gold. I may decide to put a lot of this gold, and depending on how much we make in Kata and Miss, may put a lot of that money into actually upgrading this ahead of time, so that when we hit 91, we could potentially have like a 675 weapon, which would make our leveling go smooth like butter. Now, the reason that this is possible and the reason I'm going with this route is because we're so late in the cycle of things. These items aren't that expensive. In the beginning of the cycle, in the first couple of months of Warlords, these items would have sold for thousands and thousands and thousands of gold. So a newer player coming into this at the beginning of a cycle wouldn't have been able to use their leveling up money to get these things because it would have been out of their price range. But because of where we're at now, this has got to be the best way to speed up our leveling once we hit Warlords and get us into that later game content much faster. So each day we'll update whether or not we bought some more stuff. Now I wanted to talk about where we earned our money so that we can kind of see how our play style has helped us. So if you look at our total gold acquired, we're at 5628. And that is significantly more gold than I had ever anticipated making, just leveling to 80. So this is kind of insane to me. Gold looted 264, so a drop in the bucket in terms of gold looted. Right, a large amount of our gold is not coming from looting monsters. From quest rewards, 2201. So a large portion coming from quest rewards. If we had just been in full heirloom spamming dungeons, this would be significantly lower, and we would probably have made significantly less gold. So that's interesting to know that the amount of quests we're doing is helping us in terms of gold. It might be slightly slower than doing spam dungeons with full heirlooms. Well, it is going to be slower than spamming dungeons and full heirlooms, but we're earning more gold, which might set us in a better position when we hit Warlords. Gold earned from auctions, 1400. Now most of this comes from leather. We had a couple of BOEs that we sold, a couple of items from BC that were like rep items and things like that. So we made a little bit of gold there. I would say probably 1,000 or 1,200 came from leather sales. And a lot of that gold came from Wrath so far. Sold about 400 Borean leather. Got a little bit more on the auction house now. And that's probably made up at least half of our leather sales. Most expensive bid, that was 425 for that gun. Most expensive auction sold, 245, that was for Borean leather. Gold from vendors, 1752. Now we talked about this in an earlier recap, but when you're choosing your quest rewards, it is super important to pick the right reward. Let's say you had a choice between 4 helms, 1 for each type. We had a cloth helm, we had a mail helm, we had a leather helm, and we had a plate helm. Now let's say that the mail helm was only an increase of 1 agility and maybe 1 crit rate, but the gold difference between our mail helm and our plate helm was 4 or 5 gold. We went with the plate helm, right? 1 agility isn't doing much for us. Picking 5 gold every single time that the upgrade is small equals a lot. So, you know, quests where the rewards are a belt, a pair of gloves, and a weapon, the weapon is going to be worth like 3 times as much as the belt. So even if we don't want any of it, we're picking the weapon. We're purposefully picking it because it's going to vendor for more gold. That's what we want. We want more gold. So you can see that completing quests and selling those quest items and selling all the stuff we pick up has really generated us a lot of profit. And buying these BOEs for WAD would not be possible right now. Buying all the flying, all the things that we've bought would not be possible if we had just been sloppy about it. Just picked whatever, sold whatever, did whatever, chained dungeons. We would not be sitting as pretty as we are right now. So a lot of good decisions there. The only thing that I would change so far is picking up a second gathering profession. If we've made 1,000 gold off of leather, then imagine if we made another 1,000 gold off of ore, or another 1,000 gold off of plants. We would be even in an even better position. So gold-wise, I feel like we're good. We've decided to buy gear to increase our leveling speed in Warlords, instead of buying mount speed to increase our leveling speed through Kata and Mop. I am going to go ahead and cut it there. We have talked about most of what happened yesterday, leveling through Wrath. Didn't really enjoy it that much. We're now pushing into Cataclysm. If you guys are liking this series, please come out to the stream and catch me when I'm live. That information is in the description below. If you have been watching on stream, if you followed, thank you very much. If you just found this video, feel free to go back and watch the other recap videos. I'm live every day at 9:30 a.m. EST, barring any unseen circumstances or dentist appointments. Really having fun doing this. Enjoying finding out these things about the leveling process that I'd never run into, having just run alts and not doing it on a fresh account, and funneling them everything they could possibly need. So thanks for tuning in, thanks for watching, and I will see you guys out there.